And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, did you miss us with that Monday off that we took? A much needed Monday. Catch up on a little bit of sleep. Got myself into the gym after a 3-month doctor order, no lift. And feel like $1,000,000 today, other than not used to being sore after the gym. Got a lot of lactic acid buildup, but that's a sign that muscles are tearing, muscle fibers are breaking, and as long as I eat right, muscle is building. So I'm feeling good. Cody, how you feeling?
I'm feeling well rested, ready to
Same.
hit the ground and edit my life away.
Yeah. So we are in the process now. By the time you are watching this episode, Cody and I have gotten all of the means thanks to patrons out there on our Patreon, Deadeye Two Tongues 740. Patrons like you have got us the ability to start making t-shirts and merch. Give a big round of applause. Big round of applause for you guys, a lot of the members of the live chat, which, guys, if you didn't know, somehow by now on what, episode 15, Cody, or is this 16? 50. We'll go with 15. Episode 15 or 16. If you didn't know, every episode, Cody and I are down in the chat. We are down joining you guys for the premiere of our episode that happens every Monday and every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch us here on the Near Death Diary podcast. And also, we have been uploading individual stories. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but if you have favorites, if you have been a long time listener, aka listening for what, 2 months at this point?
Been around 2 months.
About 2 months. If you had a episode that you really liked and you wanted to hear that one and that one alone, well, we are trying to provide that for you. We're trying to make it a little easier for you and also elevate the amount of videos we have on this platform so we can grow. Oh, and another topic of conversation, our IRL footage. Did you see that? Did you see the way that was racking and stacking on the views?
I saw it. I think people liked it.
Much faster than all of our own videos where you just have to stare at my ugly mug for an hour to 2 hours. But that episode seemed to tantalize the old fear gland.
It was probably the cat. Everyone returning to see the cat over and over.
Feral cat enthusiasts. So it's obvious that you guys really, really enjoyed the IRL footage. And you know what? Cody and I had a great time doing it. And we have been taking y'all's Patreon money and spending it responsibly by doing the number one thing you should do with your new blossoming business, and that's reinvest. So we've been buying some gear, we've been buying some equipment, we've been getting ready to be able to provide you guys with even more neat trinkets and things. We're even going to be coming at you with mugs soon, so you can enjoy your early morning coffee, with watching the episode again, or maybe you're halfway through a binge and it's nighttime and you want to get through the episodes. You don't want to miss out on anything, so you're just cranking coffee or whiskey, whatever. But we're going to make sure you got a mug in your hand so you guys can rep it, you can talk about it. When people ask you, you can say, "Oh, that's the Near Death Diary podcast." And those guys are just pretty neat, pretty cool fellas.
They feed cats Gouda.
Yeah, we sure do. We made sure that cat had all of the Gouda that Mothman didn't seem to want.
He was just busy.
Disappointed about it. I really am. What else does he have to do? What was that, like a Tuesday we went?
Well, we heard some fluttering. Maybe somebody else was out there having an experience.
Yes, we did. We did hear the flapping of what sounded like rather large wings, especially over the cacophony of all of the bugs and bullfrogs and peepers and, songbirds that were going off all through the night
And the
there.
cat.
The constant meowing of what we are kind of convinced was, a skinny fella, skin, one of those guys, because pristine fur didn't seem like it, had any matting, didn't have any burrs, didn't have any, like, like, just looked like a pristine, clean cat.
Oh, Mothman probably takes care of him.
What if it's Mothman's cat? Well,
That's why he didn't do anything to us. We were just sitting there feeding his cat.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that cat ate a good majority of our charcuterie board. Like, we're going to make him fat. We're going to make that cat fat, But, yeah. So let's just get this part done. We got to do it every episode, but it's because it gets results. Whenever I tell you that, you can go to hellfireholler.com, our small business and herbal supplement company. You could pick up some supplements that are good for brain fog, anxiety, sleep, getting over addiction. You can get all sorts of products over here at hellfireholler.com. And if you go through my TikTok, Deadeye Two Tongues, there is quite a few videos on the medicinal mighty power of plants and fungi, almost as if God put them here for our benefit. Not having a hard time believing that, being someone who does, in fact, study nature, knowing that every plant, even the poison ones, can be used somehow with great knowledge to be able to benefit us. Also, if you want to have your story read on this podcast, if you would like to submit your story, well, I tell you what you're going to do. You're going to go over. You're going to hit that like button. You're going to turn the notification buttons on. You're going to subscribe to this. You're going to leave a comment in the comment section because we would like to know how you're doing. Mwah! We love you. And then you're going to go to hellfirehollerpodcast@gmail.com. We're going to put that right here. You can go to that right there, and you could submit your story. And if we see your story, we're going to give you a heads up. Hey, Cody, what are we going to tell them?
We're going to tell him, thank you for writing in. Your story will be featured in an upcoming episode of the Near Death Diary podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Please tune in at date at 8 p.m. Eastern.
That's exactly what it's going to say. And it's also, we have a great time around the internet campfire, but Cody and I are pushing forward. We're thinking forward here. What's a good way that we could inspire the spooky on a regular basis, especially on the crisp, beautiful autumn nights? The leaves are just changing. They're falling. They're wisping over our faces. Tickles.
A bee!
Whoa! Like around autumn, especially when you got them campfires rolling, everyone's wearing sweaters, everyone's all cuddled up with their Near Death Diary podcast mugs. They're all just sitting there toasting their
marshmallows.
The Hellfire Holler marshmallows, like the plant. Like, no, wrong thing. But everyone's sitting around that internet campfire, and who comes to the party? The coolest guy.
Timmy!
We'll slide at this time, but Timmy comes to the party, and guess what he's got? He's got himself a book of all of the stories that we have told thus far, bound together, checked for grammatic errors, and then illustrated, given a little oomph, in case there's some visual stimulated people out there that need the assistance of a picture or two to stimulate the imagination. And that person comes to the campfire, little Timmy, and he's got that book, and everyone just loves Timmy. They do. They all go, wow, Timmy, that is absolutely amazing. That's I'm speechless. What else do they say?
Timmy's the best.
Yeah. We're letting it slide. But that's what we're trying to do. And in that waiver, when you send in, we're going to ask, hey, do you mind if we put your story? Do you mind if we put your story in a book? And we can put in there that you wrote that, whatever. We can figure that out, but we want to take your stories and we want to put them in a binding because we want people to be able to read them around an actual campfire. But also, thank you, like people like Kristen right here who sent us in this too bright to be on while we film, but this amazing ghost
We'll do a
face.
test.
Let's show 'em.
We'll show it.
Show 'em. Can't even tell what it is. Super bright. But thank you, Kristen, for sending us this amazing screen mask back here. A nice addition to the set behind us. And guys, it looks like we are creeping ever closer to being able to get Mr. Fog Gilly himself a camera, so he can also have his charming, pretty face
Fog cam.
on the Near Death Diary podcast. And all of that, again, guys, made possible by our patrons who every month kick us a little bit of their hard-earned money so we can provide you with some amazing content. Thank you guys again. Our Patreon is Deadeye2Tongue 740. If you want to send us in things like this, or wards of protection, or black salt, or crucifixes, or you just want to like send us like some goodies, or maybe you have products that you are able to sell because you've done everything right.
Cursed rings and vinyl records.
We're gonna say no to that one. But say you did everything right. We run an herbal apothecary, and we have gone through all that. If you are up to snuff and you have gone through all of the things, then we would absolutely love to put you as an affiliate on our website. And we would also like to give you a little bit of a, hey, check out this person and what they're doing over there and wherever you're from. Give you a little leg up to your business and help your small business grow too. Because guys, there's plenty of food to go around here. There's plenty good stuff. So if you want to send us stuff in, you can go to P.O. Box 264, Gloucester, Glouster, Gloucester, Ohio 45732. And you can send us some things over there, some goodies, some artwork, some things for our set, whatever have you. We would love to do that. And we also do unboxings on our Patreon. And we're gonna keep posting those up. I know, guys, if you have sent boxes, and we're kind of waiting for enough boxes to come in to do like an actual episode or an actual like good sized video. Cody, as per usual, I'm going to ask you a question that I already know the answer to, but it's classic. Is there any hint as to what tonight's stories may be, seeing as you are Sergeant Skimmer?
I don't know which one you got first there.
Well, I mean, but you've skimmed the story, so you would know.
Yeah, but what do you have right there? Which one are you starting with?
I'm not telling you. I've reversed the mystery. I reversed the mystery. All right, I got the first story right here in my hand. Chat, what do you think it is? What do you think it is, chat? No, you're wrong. You're wrong too.
Well, somebody gets it.
I bet you it's fucking Timmy. Only time we're going to give Timmy props is tonight. And you're all wrong. Sorry, I don't mean to be, harsh about it, but nobody guessed it. And if you did, how many bonus points?
Like 1 and 15/16.
Ooh, they're on their way to a whole one. Wait, no, to a 2.
2.
You said 1. Oh, yeah, they're on their way to 2.
Yeah.
We need to actually think of something like a bonus.
We just gave away
points.
like how many bonus? Like a million.
Yeah, okay, but we could go back and we can actually create rules, and we can do bonus points, and perhaps that can lead to things like free T-shirts, free sticker packs,
Okay.
things like that.
Well,
I don't know, chat. What do you guys think? Would you like to also have like an in-game like activity? something to try to earn bonus points. Ideas, let us know. You guys know we're always open to hearing your guys' ideas. And the title of this is The Guard Dog, sent in to us by Megan. no last name on this, but the guard dog. What feelings you get over that, Cody? You think it's a dog man situation?
Dog man or like a, is it going to be like a Cujo type deal?
Cerebus?
Cerebus? Yeah.
Could be. Could be. Fluffy. Like, Harry Potter. The guard dog. So I'm thinking there's a dog that guards some tomb or something of that nature. Chat, let us know what you think. And Megan, thank you for sending in your story. The guard dog. Hello, internet friend. My name is Megan. I want to start off by saying I greatly enjoy your stories on TikTok. Keep them coming, please. Absolutely, Megan. Just for you. Just for you. This next video, it's just for you. I have several stories about supernatural encounters. I've had them throughout my entire life. The best story of mine by far has to be the most recent. It occurred 7 years ago. I moved into a house in Fayetteville, that's in Arkansas, with my friends Curtis and Taylor. The three of us were in a particularly hard time in our lives. We were all in active addiction. They were. Megan, I'm assuming you made it out. Congratulations, hon.
Congratulations.
We are proud of you. And chat, let's let her know. Let's let her know. Let's light it up. Hell yeah, Megan. Good job. Good job. This house bordered a heavily wooded area and had a chain link fence in the backyard. The huge trees behind the house overhung the fence, shading in part of the yard. Taylor had a black and white pit bull named Athena as an emotional support dog who moved in with us as well. Athena was 11 years old and battling cancer with her maturing age. This dog had been with Taylor her entire life, always cheering her up when she was sad. She was her best friend, her heart dog. Aw. I have a feeling this dog is going to become not only in life an emotional support dog, but a emotional support spirit dog too.
Afterlife guard dog.
And you gotta love it. I hope I didn't spoil it, but man, that's what I'm praying for, man. As we were all moving and unpacking our things on the first day, Athena was exploring the backyard. I remember I was unloading the last of my things from the truck, but I noticed I had not seen Taylor. I decided to take a break and go find her. The door to the backyard was in the kitchen, and as I entered the kitchen from the living room, I could hear bellowing coming from the backyard. I rushed outside to find Taylor cradling her best friend in her arms under the shade of one of the trees that overhung the fence. Instantly, I could tell something was wrong. The two of us sat with Athena, comforting her and stroking her soft coat gently as she took her last breath. I'm sorry. Poor Athena. Well, no, it sounds like Athena had a great life. I'm not going to say poor Athena because all things pass, and that's one of the biggest subject matters on this story. It's the circle of life, although it be very difficult at times, especially with the faithful man's best friend. Athena, we all grieve, and Megan, we send our 7 years later grieving thoughts to you still. Chat. To Athena, cheers. After we were all saying our goodbyes to sweet Athena, we wrapped her up in her favorite blanket, and one of our friends took her out to the family farm an entire county away, out in Madison County. None of us were in good spirits after the eventful day. We had put a halt on the unpacking. We ate dinner, and we all went to bed early. I was suddenly awoken from a deep sleep. I looked at the clock. What time you think it was, chat? Cody? Fog Gilly? What time you think it was?
It was 3 a.m. or midnight.
3 a.m.
Nope.
Gotta wonder, because a lot of spiritual activity comes in threes. Anytime you see like scratch marks on somebody, tends to be a 3. Whenever in the middle of the night, you wake up, your alarm is 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Typically, they always say the witching hour is at 3 a.m.
Dale Earnhardt.
And the most terrifying of all, yeah. But yeah, typically things come in three. Now, a lot of people say that's a mocking of the Holy Trinity, but what about in this instance? I guess we
Well, we don't know what's going
know.
to happen. So,
Right, but it's gotta be something good. I mean, what does the dog
well,
turn
it's a guard
into?
dog. Maybe it's something coming and the dog prevents it.
It dies, and after all that friendship, it starts to haunt you.
No, I mean, I'd say like, what if something not good's coming, but then the dog steps
Oh,
in? There's the guard dog
man.
aspect of.
Yeah, yeah. I, good point. Good point. So but what I was going to say was if something, positive happened, like do demons use the 3 a.m.? Or does the angelic forces use 3 a.m.? Or is it all bullshit because time zones? Does anyone want to explain the witch's hour when it comes to time zones?
I don't
Like,
know. What's the?
I mean, that's why
Is there
we
one true time zone that we should be, or is it just like all like? Would it just be like moon and sun type deals? Is that what controls?
uh, possibly. I mean, that would be probably if you were going to give it, some sort of, instead of like a man-made sectioned, bit of time, you know, you could probably say that it has more of like an astrological or like depending on the heavens is like the most impactful, you know. Yeah. I digress, but I think you picked up on what I was saying. Chat, did you pick up on what I was saying? Is anyone even listening to me? Like,
Is there even
hey,
anyone out there?
hey, stop ignoring me.
They're too focused and chatting to. They're not even
Yeah, we
watching.
just take a break? How do your thumbs not hurt from all that chatting? If you don't stop chatting, we're going to stick Nightbot on you. Remember when he used to come at people just for using emojis? Like we didn't know
You're in timeout.
we didn't have any idea how to program this thing, because we're just hillbillies.
He got snap. He'd just get snappy. He'd be like, "You're getting on my nerves." And it's like, "What did I do? What?"
But I remember
Wow.
we were all like, "Ruh-roh." Like it was so cool that he was there and advertising like our Discord and everything. Which, by the way, you get from being on our Patreon. Yeah, he was down there promoting our business and the Discord and everything, and people were using emojis, and our little programmed AI friend started turning on everybody. It was almost like a horror story within itself. But it was cool. But now he's fixed, ain't you, Night? Ain't you, Nightbot? Come here, kitty kit. Good boy. Back to the story. I was suddenly awoken from a deep sleep. I looked at the clock. It was 3 a.m. My room bordered the kitchen. The door to the backyard was on the same wall. Soon after I woke, I heard a very loud scratching sound coming from the back door. Yikes. Yikes, Cody, I think you're going to be right on this, man. I really do. I got up to investigate, but I found nothing. Tired after a long day, I went back to bed. The next morning, when we all woke up, I told my friends about what I had heard. I was not the only one to hear it. Both Curtis and Taylor, they heard the same thing. Later that day, we went out to the backyard and noticed that there were scratches on the outside of the back door, and they were not there the day before. The scratching went on for a total of 3 nights in a row, but still, we saw nothing. On the 4th day, we were out in the backyard. We were barbecuing burgers and ribs. It was around dusk, and as we were sitting out around the grill talking about our memories with Athena, I heard a rustling noise coming from the woods. Man, if this is like a real thing and this like a real creature, like, say a coyote, whatever, something smelling your barbecue, you got to rustle and you're like, man, shit, just lost my guard dog. Just lost, if only there was a dog here to defend me and a ghost dog,
It's a good damn dog.
even in the afterlife, still got your back. I looked over, and that's when I saw her, Athena, running around in the woods behind the house. She was ghostly in figure, but she was running straight through the trees. Athena had passed, but she did not leave this world. From that point on, same time, every night, we would hear and see her in the woods. I believe she was watching over all of us. I no longer have connections with the two friends, but I still think about Athena. I think about how she watched over us in those troubling times of our lives. Aw. Aw. So, I mean, it didn't come out to like Ghost Dog, like, going after coyotes or, what have you, or, Athena turning to Cujo,
No.
you know?
Well, maybe I
Like,
mean, could have been out there keeping stuff away.
could have, yeah, yeah. But I love, sometimes it's not just horror on here. It's not just these terrifying experiences. Sometimes there is a sign that we have guardian angels, that we have loved ones, we have premonitions, we have otherworldly, clairvoyant moments of our lives that give us insight to things to come or the past. So it's not always just spooky. Sometimes there's light and it looks beautiful coming out of all that darkness. What a good first story. And that's a high note, you know? I'd say, I hear trumpets, I hear harps, and I hear the love of Athena coming through in her gentle barks and her whimpering to tell you, Megan, that you had a great story. It's absolutely beautiful. And thank you for your contribution here and giving that dog an amazing, amazing life. It's amazing. Man's best friend. And all the way until the end. Cody, you got any thoughts?
It's a very heartwarming story.
Yeah, it really was. Chat, what do you think? What'd you think of the story? And Megan, are you here? Are you down there in the chat with us? If anyone has any questions for you, is it all right if they ask them? That was what, 7 years ago, she said, right?
Right.
Did you get another dog since then? Do you have that connection with that dog? Have you had any dogs since then that have passed? And did you see their ghosts too? Maybe we got if maybe your special gift is that you are able to see these ghostly animals on the other side. A lot of people speculate that, you know, animals don't have spirits. I've heard that quite a bit throughout my
Hmm.
life, that they're more so part of, like, the equation of the Garden of Eden and, and yada yada. But, and then I've also heard people say that before we are able to take on a human body, we essentially find ourselves as members of the animal kingdom, reincarnating our way to the brain power to operate, a human meat suit. But I personally think that everything has a spirit, down to every blade of grass, every cluster of honey mushroom, you know, all of the insects, the dragonflies, the fish. I think that everything has a spirit. And all
That's
of
how you
the,
spirit bomb.
absolutely, Goku would be proud, wouldn't he? Wouldn't he? So, yeah, what an amazing story. Thank you. That was heartwarming. And we're going to warm it up a little bit by reminding you that we have a small business called Hellfire Holler, a testament to the rough and rugged terrain that Cody and I grew up in. We like to call it the Hellfire Holler. People get pewed here, unfortunately. We've got some
When
rugged,
has that ever happened?
yeah, you're looking at it. We got some rough and tumble terrain around here, and we also got a lot of rough and tumble people. But we are making our way out of it, ain't we, Cody? So, with that being said, let's have our sponsor take it away, and let's have a ghost dog in a good mood.
Ghost dog.
Let's have Ghost Dog be our first sponsor for Hellfire Holler.com.
Good boy.
Oh, that was absolutely lovely, wasn't it? Cody, what'd you think about that?
That was beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice to have a reminder that not all things go bump in the night to your detriment. Some things are beneficial and keep looking over you like guardian angels, man. Like that pooch, Athena. God rest her. So the other day, me and Cody did some IRL. We did some in real life investigation at a place that was actually kind of close to us called Point Pleasant, West Virginia. The Mothman, right there, about the Mothman, a cryptid that we grew up knowing that a lot of our, like my sister, for example, has a Mothman story. A lot of people have those stories around here, but we got to submerge ourselves into the actual area. And you guys really seem to like that. And one of our big goals is, in fact, to be able to travel to these distant places. Now, we are two hillbillies that are just building our presence here on social media, and we really don't have reliable wheels when it comes to our old beaters that we have. You know, my car has 170,000 miles on it, and albeit a Toyota RAV4, it's cheap parts and, you know, has kind of a reputation for being able to stay running until about 270,000. But it's not going to be something I can risk as of right now, which leads me and Cody, as of now, to have to rent vehicles to get place to place. It is our, in the short term goal, we are hoping that we are able to afford a nice all-terrain vehicle that can get us from point A to point B to do IRL investigations. And what that means is we need people to subscribe to our Patreon, and we need people to share the crap out of our content. Do the simple things, especially like subscribing, liking, turning on your notification bell, and also sharing this on your social media really goes a long way. We would like to be able to put ourselves face to face with the Bell Witch or what have you, the creepy, the ghouly, the ghosts. We want to be able to meet these guys head on in our investigation and our attempt to become more comfortable with the other side, the spirit realm, and possibly shed some light on what it is that happens to us when we pass away. So if you guys don't mind, at least liking, subscribing, notifying yourself when we post so you never miss an episode or an upload, which happens 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday and Friday. If you guys don't mind doing that, that would really help us achieve our goals, and we're going for that plaque, baby. Ain't we, Cody?
I feel like we can get it.
Yeah, 100,000's when you get your first plaque, I believe. I believe that's your silver plaque. And I got my only eye on that. I really, really want to see that added to our set in the near future because we really, really love what we do. And that's the type of positive reinforcement that keeps us reinvesting and going for the gold eventually. So help us get there. Use the almighty power of social media to help spread the Near Death Diary podcast good word. So, Cody, going on to the next story, Mr. Fog Gilly.
On to the next terrifying tale, or pleasantly heartwarming.
Yeah, like the last one. But on to the next story, an international phenomenon that I myself have personal experience with as well. This is being sent in by our friend Sophie, and this is the Hat Man. Cody, does that send a chill up your spine?
I've never seen the Hat Man. I've seen what I thought was well, actually, I didn't see it, so my friend saw it. It was a smoking man that was all black.
Oh, yeah.
All I saw,
school.
all I saw was a black orb by the time I got over there.
Yeah, he had a tendency to smell like cigar smoke. If like I remember several times us being in there investigating, and I would always catch a whiff of cigar smoke towards, if you're looking towards Moxahala,
Yeah.
all the way by that wall that led down into like the basement. I'd always catch a whiff of like tobacco smoke, and it's interesting. Spirits seem to be capable of a lot of stuff, but I always found it intriguing. Whenever they can create a phantom sense, like not sense, like our ghosts, in fact, just energies that are manipulating, like, our brains through vibration, making us see things. I mean, that seems so crazy, but then again, a mushroom can do that.
Yeah.
Like plants have a tendency to be able to do that. So, are these residual energies altering our perspective to the point to where we see them, or are they actually physically there? Do they wield the capacity to be able to trick our senses, or is somehow it creating in real life the smell of tobacco smoke? This is all the stuff that we really, really like to investigate here because it's interesting. And ever since my near death experience, I kind of realized that a lot of these spirits and energies and things could be people who, lost their way to the other side, which I've seen personally. They're stuck somewhere in between, or do we all move on and just our memory is manipulated by spirits that have negative intentions? Who knows? Who knows? But it is a very interesting world, and it's a very interesting thing to ponder.
Answers we hope to discover one day.
Absolutely. Now, I have a personal experience with the Hat Man, and this took place after I'm not even, a certain toy that you shouldn't mess with. And when I say toy, I only say that because it's sold in Targets and things like that. But after an immature night as a young heathen brother picking on my sister who was participating in that not a game, I feel like we opened up something that we did not close, and it activated all sorts of spiritual activity in the house that I lived in, which was a very, very old kind of mining shanty that my dad had acquired through his aunt. And we were improving it and whatnot. It eventually became a very decent, just under middle class house. But in that time that we opened up that portal, from what it seems, many, many things stepped forward, and one of them was a dark silhouette figure with a high rised collar and a rimmed hat. And he made himself very, very present to me, my mother, my sister. But my dad really wasn't around. He worked night shift. He slept during the day. He was gone during the night. So if I recall, he really doesn't have much experience with him, but we all do. And it's not like I was really scared of him. He seemed to be stuck in some sort of repetitive loop, like he was reliving his last day every single time that we saw him. And he walked like through pathways and doorways in the house that were no longer there from my father and I doing construction. So he seemed to just move through the walls, but always in a beeline, like he was carrying out maybe one of his typical protocols while he was in life, sometimes walking right through me, and towed the line with physical one night whenever I was looking for my father and it was snowstorming outside, and I had seen someone walk by the window, and I go to check because I was looking for my dad, I think to check my homework or something of that nature. And whenever I saw something walk by the window, it seemed like a man. So I went to shout, "Hey, Dad." And when I looked outside, there was no footprints in the snow, and I noticed that. And I was like, well, that can't be Dad. Look at this fresh powdered snow. So what just walked through or by the window? So I take a few steps out. I look down the steps, and we lived on top of this very big hill. I'm staring into the howling night air with snow falling, and I just feel the roar of the wind, and I can feel that something's very off. And while I'm looking around, I can start to hear this crunch, and I'm looking around for the direction that it's coming from. I don't see any like person or anything, but it sounds like footsteps. And I watch as coming up the sidewalk towards the steps of the porch, I'm watching footprints appear in the snow. Now, being stuck there almost in just a bewildered sense of absolute fear and ambiguity, I watched as it started to walk up the steps, creaky from the icy snow, and I kind of snapped out of it and look down and I'm watching as it's getting to maybe the second to third step up before I turned around panicking to go in and tell my mother. And there is my father inside, not a lick of snow on him, in his pajamas. That was a very, very spooky and one of the early memories that I have that told me that the paranormal was in fact as real as our flesh, bone, and blood. So that was my experience with the Hat Man. I'd like to, and I have been trying to wrangle my sister and my mother to sit down and talk about their experience, but I'd like them to both be in the same room because it was kind of funny how we all divulged that we understood and knew that we were all seeing this mutually. You know, in a car ride on our way into town to get groceries, it just kind of came up and we found ourselves finishing each other's sentences and describing the same entity to a T. And that's whenever we had our assumptions individually confirmed as a group. And we called him John, and he was very, very present and ignored all smudging. But then again, we didn't really seem to care because he never caused a problem and he didn't instill a sense of terror. I don't even know if it really was John necessarily that was the footsteps in the snow, for there was quite a few things stirring in that old house built just after the 1800s. But it was a very memorable childhood in that house. But let's hear Sophie's experience with the Hat Man. And Cody, before we get into this, you got anything? Anything about it? Nope.
I ain't got nothing. I don't know.
Well, let's dive into The Hat Man by Sophie. My name is Sophie, and I have a history with something most people write off as a dream or a myth or a nightmare. But I lived it, and I still do. It began when I was 5 years old. We lived in Dana Point, California, in a quiet house near the ocean. I remember the salt in the air, the soft light coming through the curtains, and the way everything changed the day it appeared. I walked into my bedroom like any normal kid would, but he was there, sitting in the middle of my room. A tall, dark silhouette wearing a hat with no face, no movement, just being. I froze. Then I ran to get my mom. I tugged her hand and begged her to come, but when we returned, he was gone. There wasn't a trace, not a sound, but the energy, his presence, it lingered. It remained. The air felt thick, like it was holding its breath. That was the beginning. He followed me. He followed me from Dana Point to my grandparents' house between 2013 and 2017. That's when the sleep paralysis started. At first, it was subtle. Waking and not being able to move. Feeling watched. Feeling trapped. But soon, he made himself known again, standing in the corner of the room, looming, as if feeding off my fear, like it was air. See, this is a whole different account. What do you think about him showing up all over the world? What do you think about him being an international phenomenon? In chat, feel free to cast your
I just
opinion.
wonder if it's the same thing or it's different things that are taking a similar type form.
Very oddly specific. It's
Well, you know, like if you back in the day, like those hats were like it was like a
common.
big deal to like everyone wear these hats all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. You know, it suggests a time period too. That's
So maybe that's what it is. It's like
yeah. But I mean, so many people claim to see them. And then I was talking with someone in the comment sections on one of my videos, and they were saying that some of the most, I guess, concentration of sightings, Southeast Ohio is up there. Like Southeast Ohio specific is what what she was saying. I'll have to go back and see if I can't find that conversation I had. But It's pretty fascinating, and but international, we're talking Japan, like different names for it, I'm sure. But the black kind of bowler hat, kind of what would that time frame be? 1930s,
The
like
1930s, or is it like
something. But interesting to say the least. You hear it described. It's almost always across the board, kind of the same.
I know now I want to do the research and see like the time period of when those hats like because
It's
it's
like a
like
pork pie
something. Yeah, it's like
or a bowler.
and when did that happen to where or how did that happen where everyone just decided like hey, we're going to wear these hats.
Yeah. Well, you know how like people talk about like DMT and the clockwork elves and stuff like that. Like a lot of people have seen these beings like with between the veil, in that headspace, and they always talk about clockwork elves and stuff, which are almost like these entities that are controlling, manipulating, time, space, and all sorts of other claims of things that they do. But you almost got to wonder like is he like if we're in like a matrix type reality, if at the baseline of everything it's like binary and we're in like this system, like is he like part of a program that shows up almost like an Agent Smith from the Matrix, because he's seems similar. And then the other question, did he exist before that style and that fashion came out, like
Somebody
we're
somebody
like
just
we're
saw him back in the day and was like, "That's a nice hat. That's a nice hat he's wearing." And then it
like
just caught on.
did medieval, feudal Europe and Japan and stuff, like were they like, look at that guy, like, that's a weird hat, that hat doesn't even
Let's make that hat.
yeah, was he the inspiration for
I
this
don't know.
hat?
Yeah,
Yeah, who knows,
got some digging to do.
yeah. Back to the story. Standing in the corner of the room, looming, feeding off my fear as if it was air. I screamed once, but it was in my mind. My body just couldn't. He just stared. He didn't need words. And when we moved again, to the house I live in now, he came too. Things got worse. The paralysis came with visions, vivid and terrifying. He showed me my death, over and over, and I believed him. Man, that is one of the hardest things. That is one of the things that ripped me apart after being shot. And if you go and you watch episode 1 where I go into detail about my recovery and my near death experience, one of the things that was really, really troubling me, that led me kind of down like a dark like headspace, was I was having a reoccurring dream where I was reliving being nearly assassinated every night. Things like that can become super draining on your psyche. It can push you to countless nights of no sleep. I mean, it's awful. So I sympathize with you right here, Sophie. But something changed. I stopped fearing him. Over time, in the silence of those paralyzed nights, we started to understand one another. I spoke to him, not with words, but with thoughts. He listened. Eventually, I made peace with him. We became something like friends. I know how that sounds, but after all those years, it was easier than fighting. Now he leaves me alone. Mostly. He still visits sometimes, but rarely. Like an old ghost just checking in. But the fear isn't the same. It's like seeing a shadow from your past and nodding at it instead of running away from it. I mean, here we are getting more similar to my account.
Yeah.
I mean, that's strange. Like, yet again, similar experiences. Like I said, he never instilled a fear, like a fear or a terror. He just looked like he was passing through at all times. Like, and whether he saw us or not is still a mystery. He never interacted
Well,
with
that's what
us.
I mean. Like my little thing. I mean, if that's even what it was so brief, and I mean, it filled you with dread right then. But I only saw it the one time. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So it could have been like if I was seeing him all the time and nothing happened. It could have been this, just get
Yeah.
used to it almost.
Kind of like Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nearly headless? How can you be nearly headless?
What's strange is that I never invited him in. I never touched a Ouija board. I never even watched horror movies until I moved here. But the people around me had. My boyfriend's grandmother used the board, and it worked. I wonder if something opened, long before I understood what any of this was. So, was it even brought forward in the same way as my experience? Like, this stuff's fascinating, man. Like, what a rabbit hole. Like, I read these stories right along with you guys. This is my first time ever casting an eye across these words. So there is no dramatization of this at all. I just genuinely find it funny that it lined up with the precursor, like, little story that I told. Like, how interesting.
Yeah.
She even used the same terminology. I wonder if we opened something up. Like, is he just like an entity that steps forward from that specific, like, that's crazy. Back to the story. I wonder if something opened up long before I understood what any of this was. I was bullied my whole life. Maybe that's what drew him into me. Pain, loneliness, fear, or maybe he's always been there, waiting. Maybe he was never summoned. Maybe I was just seen. So if you ever wake up and see him standing at the foot of your bed, don't panic. He feeds off of fear. But he isn't just fear. He's something older. And if you learn to see him not as a monster, but as a mirror, he might just let you sleep. Sophie Grace Maldonado Simon. Eerily similar.
Very. I would be. It would be tough to like generalize it though, to where be like, oh, just if you stay calm, he's not going to mess with you. But what if if it's not that, if it's something else? Because we've had other stories where it's like a thing was standing there and it was just a shadow, and you had, I mean, that take almost the same form of just a shadow person, but then it kind of attacks them.
Yeah.
And stuff. So I don't know.
I mean, maybe not all shadow.
I'd say
entities.
like if you get used to it or whatever, if you can tell that it's like yours or hers and it's never causes you harm and it really you don't get that feeling, then maybe that's how you'd be like, okay, well, I'm fine. But like it would be hard or maybe not the best idea for everyone to just
embrace it
like that.
I mean,
because it could be something else.
Like, I've always believed that our brain waves, and everything, like, has a tangible element to them. Like, we are sending out like brain waves, vibrations, electronic signals, whatever have you. We are emanating. Imagine yourself like the bobber in a pond. You watch the fish tug and it ripples outward. Like, your head is that bobber and it's pushing out thoughts, which in my opinion carry vibration. They carry tangible elements, right? So in my personal opinion, you have some very, very powerful frequencies that emanate from the human mind. Fear is a very big one. Now, I'm almost wondering, what would happen if, like, a poltergeist, like, an entity that's like opening your cabinets and slamming your things and turning crucifixes and things upside down, or whatever have you. Maybe not the last one. Maybe not the turning crucifixes upside down. I think that is just demon, like a demon. But maybe these shadow beings are neutral, and maybe they take on the element in which we bestow on them. Like, what if instead of meeting it with fear, we're resonating love, and it creates a docile, it creates a docile spirit. But if you're feeding it fear, like, like, that's its food source. Like,
it's like, what if it's just tricking you this whole time? Like, I'm thinking back to what that priest said now, and it's like, like almost like, don't take any chance with these things.
Right. But, but how many things are there? Are there different types of things? You have like the feline kingdom. You got tigers, panthers, like lions. I mean, they're all cats, but they're very different, when it comes to like their DNA, like in the traits that they have and their personality, their capacity for sight, varies. I mean, there's all these minute differences. Who's to say that there's just like, like a blanket, entity that's a shadow person? Like, who knows? There could be like many different kinds,
Well,
you know?
hopefully we can attempt to get to the bottom of it.
Right. Now, I'm naturally going to lean towards if you look at the world in light and dark, you have good and you have the bad. And in my faith, you have the obvious. You have the angelic force versus, the demonic forces. Something showing up that almost looks like it's sucking darkness in. Because if you've noticed in a lot of these videos and stuff that you see on social media, whenever a shadow person or an entity appears, it almost looks as if it's darker than the dark, and you can see like, this in a pitch black room, like you can still somehow see almost as if it's like vortexing and pulling in the dark, you know. I'm naturally going to lean that whatever entity that is because it's not radiating light. Light always makes us feel safe. I mean, how many stories have we told where people
Yeah.
found themselves like, sitting underneath like the lights or scrambling to get to the light, and then we have like ingrained in us whenever we are passing away, like go towards the light. Light makes us comfortable. It makes us feel safe and secure. Some of our major comforts in life, like fire, life-giving fire, can be, like considered like it's light. It makes us feel comfortable, and it also wards off, coyotes don't want to come around, light. That not like they have evil intentions and stuff, but like things tend to respect or, fear like the power of light, and I think that naturally something that appears in a dark, sinister kind of manner, is going to be on the other side of things. But I'm not one to say that that's definitive for me. I would rather remain open and keep investigating. I think that's a really, really good way to go about anything until you have, no shadow of a doubt.
So these dark entities and stuff, do you think they can change? Do you think they can be like
Well, I mean, just like,
loved, forgiven, and come back to the light?
well, one of the things that I always, thought, you have this like struggle with, humanity, and the dogma that we seem to exist between. You have the life and, the death. You have the eternal heaven versus the flames of hell. You have angel versus demon, and then you have humans made in the likeness, like either being puppeted by sin, but always given, like love and praise from an all forgiving, all loving God. You know what I mean? Like we are humans made in the likeness. We are far more powerful than we could even comprehend. And when it comes to, our capacity, to wield our spirit, we were pretty much reminded daily and suppressed daily, that we're kind of weak and like powerless, or what have you. But I think the power of prayer is absolutely grandiose. And I think it's one of the most powerful, yet again, vibrations. Imagine focalizing. We talk about egregorianism and, summoning things into existence based off of like everybody believing and aiming belief into one focalized, attempt. So what happens if we pray for the devil? What happens if the devil, who is so hard up and angry with humanity for being a like a essentially humanity, Lucifer feels essentially that, how dare you love them more than you do us type, energy and pride, and what happens whenever us, who he has for so long wreaked havoc on and used us to destroy, manipulate, and create like just absolutely fuck God's creation. That's what he That's what he wants. He wants to be like, look at what I did with this thing you love so much, you know? What happens when that thing that God loves so much demonstrates godliness? And rather than we, you know, shun him and hate him and swear at him and everything, what if we all empathize and not give him love for the things he's done, but we ourselves, you know, act in like a forgiving manner to almost elevate our frequency as a, you know, a human race. I sometimes wonder, like, if all humans got the memo, like got the email, and we all like synced up our
Yeah,
time
it's
zones,
like
and we're
it's like you just say like everyone is able to receive forgiveness. You just have to.
yeah. You know, I think that this thing, you know, and I experienced that whenever I, you know, and it definitely was not like me that sat down, you know, I was participating, I was there, I was active, but I allowed God to like come in and give me the answer on how I should approach the man who literally took my eye. Should I go the route of eye for an eye, you know, or should like I practice forgiveness? And it was, you know, I mean, it was insane how much weight was lifted off of me whenever I, like, you know, I had this guy who just ruined so much of my life, like altered, you know, like my physical being, like made it hard to retain information and think, and like, you know, damaged. I mean, like nerve damage nearly took me out, man. It was so bad, you know, and I had every opportunity to aid and feed the monster within him that was capable of doing something so egregious. And I could have made it worse. I could have, you know, had him sent to that cell for what he had done to me, with the thoughts rolling through his head, you know, of my last words being, you know, fuck you, man. And I realized, like, that's not going to help. It's not going to help me. Instead, I shed those like shackles and was like, you know what, dude, like, fuck this. Like, the only thing that's going to fix you is love. That's all. That's the only thing, because it is the counter frequency. It is light. It is the counter frequency of darkness, and that's our ultimate weapon. You know, it's prayer, it's unity, and it's light. It's love. It's, you know, everybody almost wants to act like a hard ass, and you know, I could be the absolute epitome of an eye for an eye situation, but like the world will go blind. Before we get on to our next story, let us get a word from our sponsors. Let's keep it angelic. Let's have an angel be our next sponsor. Take it away.
Visit hellfireholer.com.
So we got one more story in the chamber after that lovely angelic sponsor visit. Let's get our third story of the night. Do you think it's going to be a spooky story? You think it's going to be maybe again another?
From what I skimmed, it looked like it was going to get pretty eerie.
Well, both stories that we've had thus far were essentially benevolent beings by the end.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe this is the clincher, right? Let's dive right into the third story of the night. Now, it's got what looks like almost like a kind of disclaimer at the top, something of that nature, but down here in the middle of the page it says, "The night my car died," and I believe that is the name of the story. I would like to stay anonymous, but I'm from rural, there's that word, everyone's favorite word, rural. I'm from rural Iowa, not far from Bedford, and back in June of 1996, there was an inexplicable formation in a 600-acre soybean field. A father and son found it. Two innocuous-looking circles, weirdly perfect, smack dab in the middle of the field. There were no tire tracks. Nobody saw anything, and afterwards, Dean said, "I never believed anything like that, but after that, I just don't know. I keep my mouth shut about what I experienced because I've already lost friends. Some thought I was paranoid, others thought I was just seeking attention, but I will tell you what happened to me that night." So that's spooky. You ever lose anyone over something like that?
I don't think so. Usually I'm with somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I tend to gravitate towards people who, are more like, I guess, spiritually open or like, I don't find myself gravitating towards people who, essentially would like not have an open ear or at least hear you out.
Yeah.
Now I have a couple childhood friends, who were like staunch believers that, like there's no such thing as the paranormal. I've had a few atheist buddies who, definitely didn't believe it. But most of, my upbringing, I was surrounded by people, especially my parents, my grandmother, who, very much so, my grandmother being clairvoyant, understood that there was a lot more magic and things that we can't see. But yeah, I don't think I've ever lost anyone over something like this. But the night my car died, I was driving home. It was late. Pitch black Iowa mile-long roads flanked by towering corn. The only sound was my engine's hum and the occasional ow. It was eerily silent. Then the engine, it just cut. It just died. There was no sputter. One moment I was shifting into third. The next there was nothing. I pulled over and popped the hood, thinking just a loose battery cable or something. Something was off. There was strange energy in the air. I could feel my fingers twitching, but everything looked normal, except the stillness. The world was unnaturally quiet.
Every time.
Every single time. That's what when we were doing our IRL, that's what we were waiting for. We were paying very close attention because it was roaring.
Yeah.
Like, and if you've ever noticed, man, like there is like a very, like droning element to, especially like near ponds and things, and I think it's funny, like if you actually sit down and listen, you have the bullfrogs hitting the bass and
Yeah.
like,
If you're not paying attention, it's just like white noise almost.
yeah. But when you start
But
to
when
pay
you start,
attention,
you can like pick out everything and be like, oh, there's...
and it like all folds, like when you get like the cicadas, like.
But I mean, we're there like looking for something. Like if you're out in the middle of nowhere and like, and then you might not notice it right away, and then when you do notice it, that like everything's gone quiet, it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Like
And
your
that's
body just kind of probably knows that like something's off.
Yeah, but I mean that is a great warning. It would suck if like the silence coincided with the appearance of something. At least like whenever nature goes quiet, you're like, brace yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back into the story. Then the noises started, creaking, squelches, something moving. It was in the cornfield. It sounded like slow footsteps through stalks. My chest seized. I backed into the driver's seat and pulled the door shut slowly. I pressed my back against the seat, trying not to breathe, just peering out into the darkness. Then, something dashed across the road. I caught a flash of movement, tall and fast. My whole body froze. The hairs on my arms stood up. I heard low breathing, or maybe just wind. It was right beside me in the corn. I dared not to move, just sat, pounding hard, every breath a trial. Then, a light, a bright, sterile white beam lifted from the field. Like a blade slicing through the dark, it rose, passing directly over the car. The beam illuminated everything. Rows of corn, dust motes floating in the air, my own white-knuckled hands on the steering wheel. I couldn't tell if it emanated warmth or cold. It hovered for a heartbeat, then vanished, just blinked out. The field fell silent again. You ever seen those old videos of like what appears to be like a drone circling over a cornfield, and as it does, like it makes a
I've seen
circle.
some of them where like it'd be like an orb almost. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
And then like you can see the
Yeah.
corn just fall down. Yeah, I don't know if that's I've not looked into it. I don't know if that's real or that was just a.
Yeah, I mean, but when I first saw those, now, like, granted, I take every technological advancement that's like is given to us, and I run it through a filter, the military filter. The military's had, things that like have remained secret for a very long time before they bled into like the civilian life, and and it seems to always be them. But when I first saw those videos of like essentially the corn falling down as like this, you know, object that could only really be described as spherical and emanating light, as it moved across the cornfield, things are getting pushed down, and at that time, if you remember, it was very, much so a government like that. This stuff doesn't exist. Like, what are you talking about? There's no aliens. We don't have any proof of them.
Yeah.
You know, like, so, like, but then again, it put a small bleed psyop, whatever. But it just didn't seem like, I think at the time when I first saw those, like we had really made advancements in AI or like AI generated video. I mean, this was probably right around the time I'm like 20 or so years old, so like 18 years ago.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it because I'm not sure. I mean, I remember seeing them, but I don't know what was the official story on those. If that was just like, because some of these things you see a long time ago, and it's like wow, and then it just like turns into an almost urban legend. And you never really look into it, and then it turns out like, oh, that was just a skit made for this movie or something or other. And
yeah, well, I mean, if I remember correctly, like there was like a backstory to it. I remember the footage vividly because I remember, once it kind of came out how people were structuring these, they were using, maybe we can put a clip like right here of like how people make these perfectly geometric, like sky glyphs, it's very creative, but it's a lot of like stamping down corn with boards, and they can do it very quick. They've shown that people can pull these elaborate images, in one night. Now, were humans inspired by things that they had seen left, in cornfields by, yeah, like who knows, the chicken or the egg type situation.
well, from what I have like either seen or heard or them talk about crop circles, it's like the simple ones are almost like if you get a really intricate one, you can kind of almost figure that it's somebody has done this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get the simple ones that just kind of like circles and things, then that's a little bit more fishy. But then also there's like, you'll have like weird, like there'll be burns on the stalks.
Yeah, and like
there'll
people,
be like
people going with like Geiger
meters.
meters.
Like it'll be like really weird stuff that accompanies this.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there's an excuse for everything, but
yeah, well, I mean, and
who knows?
And I don't know, people are really, I mean, have you ever seen the people that mow grass and they utilize like the direction that they blow the clippings and stuff to like make images and stuff like that? I mean, people are freaking creative. What does add the tinge of like, what is the speed in which they show up? Like no light or nonsense, like, detected the night that this thing appears by anybody around it. Yeah, burn marks, like it seems to be the area is heavily radiated by the end, but I think it's funny, because humans now have definitely adopted, the practice and going and doing stuff like that. At first, I think it was, I don't know what's in the human heart to like, that's why I do a lot of debunking, because I want the paranormal to, if it's something that I look at and I'm like, wow, you really caught that on camera. Like, I can't see how you would fake it, but like, think about the act of, it's like these crop circles start showing up and everyone's scratching their heads looking at it. And you got that group of people that are like, I'm going to go out and we're going to like do this and we're going to spread even more fear, like mystery and terror, like, because a lot of people kept anonymous and they didn't, maybe fear of consequence of the law or whatever have you. But, there was, I think, a direct, like, attempt to galvanize it further. Like, but I do believe it showed up originally, like, by
I think
something
there's
different.
records of them back in like hundreds of years ago and stuff. So
yeah, but I don't know. But let's get back to the story. The field fell silent again. I didn't move. I couldn't move. I was frozen for a time until my heartbeat returned to normal. The interior car light came back on and my car started like nothing was ever wrong. I slowly stepped out to close the hood, and the energy that was in the air was gone. The next day, news of a crop circle in a nearby cornfield broke. A perfect ring, stalks bent but not broken, forming an uncanny pattern. Local folks whispered comparisons to the 1996 Bedford soybean circle story, saying I should have sent them the photos Dean Beamer got. Those two identical rings in the middle of that enormous field. And then the ringing started. Every night at approximately 3 a.m., my ear, always the same one, starts pulsating with a searing tone, like a tuning fork, braying the inside of my skull. It lasts exactly 3 minutes, every single night, for 3 days. On the 4th, I woke up and there was silence, but I feel changed. My dreams are full of light.
Was that?
It's oddly specific to like the first story because like they had something happen for 3 days and then on the 4th,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, that was threes again. Wasn't that all threes?
Yeah.
3 a.m., 3 minutes, 3 days.
Yeah. You know, Tesla said if you want to understand the universe, you need to investigate 3, 6, and 9. It was the key to everything, supposedly. So there's a lot of threes. And, you know, there's a lot of groups and holy, denominations that look at 3 like it's a holy number. A lot of magic to 3, especially 3-3. I drive past that field all the time. The corn is still there, but nothing happened since. But every time I look out into that corn, my skin crawls. I don't know what I saw. Was it a hoax? A prank? A UFO? Some energy anomaly? But it was real to me. Too vivid. Too visceral. My life veered off that moment. I'm still driving by that field all the time, watching, and every night I still worry and wait for something. For the ringing, for the light, for whatever comes next. So this is the second otherworldly experience that we had, other than, you know, we had the mushroom hunters up there.
Yeah, this one was very
Canada.
brief.
Yeah. But I mean, powerful.
Wait, wasn't theirs 3 days too? Or is that?
It was 3 days and on the 4th, I'm pretty sure.
I thought so. I have to look back, but
Yeah. Yeah, that is one thing that is eerily stretched across, you know, all manners of you know, the paranormal. It's pretty wild, you know, that almost everything appears in threes. But man, I don't know what I would do. And this was in 1996 when this was going on, you know. So you have to put yourself in the head frame and the time of someone living in 1996, you know. I think when did cell phones come out? Was it 1997? Or like actual, like when
it was around then.
like civilians had, whenever they became affordable and like not.
Yeah, it would have been like
know.
mid to late 90s.
Yeah. I mean, like social media is not a thing. YouTube's not a thing. This would have been a crazy, crazy experience.
Yeah.
You know, like definitely life changing and life altering. You know, nowadays, I think part of the mystique is gone. You know, and how many times do you see someone say you can't trust anything anymore because AI? I've seen videos that look so real of starships and stuff showing up, and it's like happened over Mount Fuji today at 2 a.m. and it's so convincing. You know, it's like so convincing. It's like what's going to happen? You know, like when everybody has to second guess everything.
Yeah, well, Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, right. 100%. In my opinion, it's deliberate. It's to make it,
Yeah.
and a test run, perhaps. If you don't know what Project Blue Beam is, it's a rumor, much like chemtrails are just a rumor. There's no spraying of aluminum or barium and the periodic table of elements. Barium isn't Ba and aluminum isn't Al, and when you put them together, it spells ball. That's a rumor too. That's not real. Do we say allegedly?
Yeah. Allegedly.
Allegedly, and we're allowed to say that that's not real. YouTube can't get mad if we're saying it's not real. It's definitely fake. So, Cody, what's your takeaway?
That's pretty eerie. That'd been a pretty elaborate. I don't know how you'd have hoaxed that to kill your car right there and.
Yeah, that's
something that's weird.
That's an element.
That takes a lot to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like somebody was like sitting there trying to. We really need to make them believe that this is like alien. So hit them with the EMP.
Yeah.
Hit them with the electromagnetic pulse to stop their car. I mean, plus that would fry your car. Like it wouldn't just temporarily disable it. It would see ya, fried your shit. That clearly wasn't, and something that's an option back then or a possibility. But. Yeah, the car going out definitely adds a bit of, and then turning back on too, a bit of validation to the claim. That's definitely very, very strange. Yeah, I'm inclined with everything that was, put in front of me to believe that could very well be real. Could very well be real. And the wanting to stay anonymous too. How many people would have experiences and be too scared to come forward because of the years that we kind of got leaked into the public of how the government treats such interactions. And
Oh yeah, I mean, just like our thing, you go down to Mothman, you get people who had these sightings, and then boom, you're getting visited by anonymous men in black who don't give you any credentials or anything, and it's like,
oftentimes
what's that about?
With a mob intimidation factor.
Exactly, it's basically like keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, and it's also there was a lot of talk of Mothman in tandem, the sightings happening in that time around that area, and oftentimes within just hours apart from one another, you have Mothman sightings alongside UFO sightings, and that's something I've also heard with other cryptids, especially the old Sam Squanch. A lot of almost that happening, very strange, coincidental, manner, leading a lot of people to believe that perhaps the reason why he's elusive is because he's not the dweller of the woods that we all think. Keep in mind, we get a ton, and I mean a ton of people sending us information, sending us videos and all sorts of stuff, so it is something that I have heard quite a bit. It happened with Mothman. That was one of the most well documented, aspects of the whole Mothman era. And there was a ton of police reports, and a lot of them were like, there's lights in the sky. There's a lot of strange lights in the sky, and then you have this harbinger of doom rolling around. Who knows?
A lot of goings on out there in the world we need to investigate.
Absolutely. That's the fun part. Cody and I, we were talking about trying to, in time, the type of things that might become possible to us. And we were both like Area 51.
Yeah.
Remember when those guys tried to rush the gates?
I was very disappointed.
I mean,
everyone was on board. Oh yeah, we're going to do it. And then all you did was Naruto run around get in there.
Yeah, you ain't wrong, but I mean that's the power of assembly though,
Yeah, they wouldn't have shot y'all.
Yeah.
Could have done it.
Right. I mean, it would have made a absolute spectacle.
You know, if just two of us go in there.
Yeah, that's a lot easier to make disappear. But
Yeah.
we would also well document our travel there and going there. And if our channel's big enough, it's like 2 YouTube,
Yeah, they'll just delete
YouTubers,
everything though.
Like get missing. Yeah, but that's when we hit it with like all sorts of different accounts. And we have those
If anything happens to this
have
will
the
be posted
death
within.
switch.
Death switches.
Yeah, we got death switches and stuff everywhere, But 3 amazing stories. Absolutely incredible stories tonight. I liked them.
Yep.
Yep. Those are going to have to go in the book as well. I want one of those big lap books, that you knock
10-pounder.
Yeah, you knock the dust off of it. It's got huge pictures. It's almost like labor to like lift it up to show everybody to show everyone. Yeah, show them this thick stack here. Look at this. And then add what we had tonight on it. I mean, that's heavy. That could almost knock a man out. Let's roll that up. You got yourself a club. And we got to keep them coming, guys. We got to keep them coming. And thank you to everybody who has taken the time to not only maybe relive something traumatic, but also articulate, your phrasing and your storytelling. And, if you notice, I think people who watch who, are like, yeah, I want to get my story on there. I think they learn, from the other people who are posting and sending this in. I love that. I love that this show literally relies on community and crowd participation. What a neat approach. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think of tonight's episode? Let us know in the comment section and chat. What do you think? What's rolling through your little hellfire, harlot, or hellion heads down there? What do you got going on? We'd like to hear all about it. Guys, one more reminder. Joining us on Patreon is going to allow us to elevate our content, create better content, and also fund a lot of our IRL and future expenses to make you guys quality content. So why don't you consider joining us over there on Patreon? It really, really does help. So let us know what you think in the comment section. And if you want your story to be heard, go ahead and give us a ring-a-ding. Follow us on Patreon. Also, we're going to put our social medias right here. You can find us over TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and you can follow us on our journey there as well. Make sure to like, share, subscribe to not only this video, but if you see us on other platforms, give us a little leg up and a boost there too, guys. I can't express to you enough how much it helps whenever you share. Thank you for joining us at the Near Death Diary podcast. Thank you for sitting around the internet campfire with us. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode, which we premiere episodes 8 p.m. every Monday and every Friday here on our channel. And until then, Cody.
I haven't done it in a while. See, that's how I get them. I give them about 5-6 episodes of no screaming, and then ba-doo, hit them.
Thanks for watching. Love y'all. Hope you stay wild.